Bravo, black shows and the quiet exit. Are we noticing a pattern or just being too loud? Let's go ahead and say what a lot of folks have been whispering in group chats, comment sections, and late-night voice notes. Something about Bravo feels off. And not in a "the reunion was boring" kind of way. No, this is deeper. This is pattern recognition. This is side-eye. This is, wait a minute, why do the black shows always seem to get the short end of the stick? Because when you really sit down and look at it, the timeline starts looking a little suspicious. The pattern nobody wants to call out but everybody sees. Bravo has built an empire off reality TV. They've turned everyday people into household names, catchphrases into currencies, and drama into straight-up checks. But let's not act like all shows are treated equally. When it comes to black-led shows, or shows with predominantly black casts, there's a recurring theme. Shorter promo cycles, random hiatuses, cast shakeups that make no sense, quiet cancellations with little explanation, and that, "we'll see what happens" energy. Meanwhile, other franchises get extended seasons, spin-offs, reboots, redemption arcs for people who should have been off TV. Now, I'm not saying anything. I'm just noticing the "support them but not too much" strategy. It almost feels like Bravo likes black shows, as long as they don't get too powerful. Because when a show starts building a loyal fanbase, creating viral moments, and actually competing with the bigger franchises, suddenly the energy shifts. The editing gets weird, the storylines feel forced, the cast starts looking confused. And then, boom, we're taking a pause. A pause, or a quiet fade out. Because let's be real, in reality TV, a pause is often just a breakup with better PR. Let's talk about the budget because it shows. Now this is where it gets shady. Have you ever noticed how some shows look like they're filmed in luxury penthouses, while others feel like they're one step away from a community center rental? Yeah, that part. The production value difference is loud, and not in a good way. You can tell when a network is investing in a show versus when they're just letting it exist. And it raises the question, right finger or black-led shows being given the same resources to succeed? Because if you're not giving a show the same budget, promotion, and support, are you really giving it a fair chance? Or are you setting it up to struggle so you can say, well, the ratings just weren't there? The editing, oh, the editing. Let's talk about storytelling, because editing is everything in reality TV. It's what shapes how we see the cast, who we root for, and who gets dragged online. And sometimes, just sometimes, it feels like black casts are edited in a way that leans extra heavy on conflict. More arguments, more tension, less balance. Where are the light moments? The friendships, the wins? Because when all you show is chaos, you're not telling the full story, you're telling the version that keeps people arguing on Twitter. And while that might boost engagement, it also shapes perception. And perception, that sticks. When the audience speaks, does Bravo listen? Here's the gag, the fans are loyal. People show up for these shows. They tweet, they post, they recap, they defend their favorites like it's a full-time job. But when fans start asking questions, real questions, about why certain shows are treated differently, the response is usually silence. No transparency, no clear explanations, just vague statements and sudden schedule changes. And that silence, it speaks volumes. The crossover problem. Another thing that feels interesting. Black talent often thrives on Bravo, but sometimes only when they're placed in mixed or more mainstream spaces. It's like, right finger, you can shine, but only under certain conditions. And that raises a bigger question about how the network views its audience. Because black viewers are watching, supporting, engaging, spending. So why does it feel like their shows are treated like side projects instead of main events? Let's not forget the cultural impact. Black-led shows bring style, culture, humor, real conversations, moments that live on social media. They don't just entertain, they influence. Catchphrases go viral, looks get recreated, scenes turn into memes overnight. And yet, despite all that impact, the long-term investment doesn't always match. That's where the disconnect starts to feel less like coincidence, and more like a choice. So, what's really going on? Now let's be clear. Nobody's saying there's a secret meeting where people sit around plotting against black shows. But what is being said is this. Right finger, when the same outcomes keep happening to the same types of shows, people are going to start asking questions. And those questions deserve answers. Because viewers aren't dumb. They notice patterns. They compare treatment. They pay attention to who gets second chances, and who gets quietly shown the door. The real tea. Here's the truth, plain and simple. If a network benefits from Black culture, Black talent, and Black audiences, then that support needs to be consistent. Not seasonal, not conditional, not when it's convenient. Because you can't build an empire off a community and then act surprised when that community starts holding you accountable. Final thoughts. We're watching closely. At the end of the day, Bravo still has some of the most iconic reality TV ever created. That's not up for debate. But the conversation around fairness, representation, and support, that's getting louder. And the viewers, they're not just watching the shows anymore, they're watching the network. Every decision, every cancellation, every pause, and if something feels fishy, trust me, people are going to smell it. Now the question is Bravo going to address it, or just hope we stop noticing? Eyes.